Good morning and welcome to SimWorld today, October 7th, Monday edition after one of the most jam-packed weeks in SimWorld sports. We're getting to all of it from the basketball court, but first, welcome in, also in Cyber City right now, one Rick Blaze. Good morning, Rick. How are we?
Marsh, it is a fantastic morning. It is a winning morning, of course. I'm happy to be here. Let's get to it.
It's a winning morning for the Texans. It's a winning morning for the Jaguars. No thanks to their defense, but don't worry, we're not talking about any of that. We're talking SimWorld U. So let's get rolling where we kind of left off, which was a lot of change up on Sunday. Announced the new updated SP Top 25, and I think there was three teams that really had notable weeks last year. Yeah, you could talk about Miami, reigning champs, having a good game against Marquette, but I thought there was three teams to me, and that's who we're chatting about, that stood out. Let's start with Duke. Cooper Flag looked exactly like Cooper Flag of old. There was no real changeover from his SimWorld prep days. 31.5 points per game, shot 74% from the field across two games. Duke is now 2-0, and Cooper Flag is the National Player of the Week. They now sit at number 2 behind Miami in the top 25. Rick, what are your takeaways from Duke through those first two games in the first week?
I mean, their depth as a team. First of all, the cyborg known as Cooper Flag is as advertised. His transition from prep basketball to college basketball has been relatively seamless. He couldn't be stopped in prep ball. He can't be stopped apparently in college ball either. So the cyborg is what the cyborg is, and this Duke team is very deep, by the way. And you know what's the biggest surprise is when the new updated rankings came out. I think they deserve to be number one. Shout out to the champs. But I think coming in two games over the past few days, 2-0, and the way that they've gotten those two games, and considering the way Miami got their win, Duke probably should deserve to be number one right now.
I don't disagree. I think Duke, they played a more complete week. They looked like a better team over the two games. I think that you have to give some respect to Miami and just say until the number one team in the country loses from last season, maybe Marquette's just better. And I think Marquette moved, or at least stayed in the top 25 here last season. They moved back one spot from 24. I think that there's still probably a strong belief in that team. I don't disagree, however, but Cooper Flag was just dominant. And there was nothing that could be thrown at that squad and at him specifically that could be slowed down. The one thing that I was interested in, and this we got in their opener against LSU, was how was their lack of size on the perimeter going to impact them, right? It was a big piece. They have three guys that are 6'2" and below, Jeremiah Minor, Roderick Little, and DeMario Duval, all of them 6'2" and below. Is that going to be a problem when you go up against a team that has, a 6'2", 6'5", 6'7" guy on the wing? It didn't matter. I thought LSU, in some blame, didn't really target it, but those guys also were disruptive. Roderick Little does not play 6'2". I mean, if you just gave me tape of him and said this guy's 6'5", I'd be like, that makes perfect sense because he plays bigger than he is. He is relentless on the boards. I think he had 8 rebounds in their win over LSU. Yeah, Cooper Flag is going to be the attention getter. I think there's no doubt about that. But what we get from the other 4 pieces of that starting 5, and they were all good, it's going to be a very, very dangerous team to beat in SimWorld U. They do get a matchup this week on Wednesday against St. Mary's. I don't know that that's a great litmus test for this squad. It's a good matchup. It'll be interesting to see Kai Newby and what he can do. That's on local broadcast only, but that'll be the next spot we get to see from them and potentially learn something, but I'm really not anticipating we learn much about Duke until we get to rank play. All right, let's go to the second team. You got any before I rudely go?
I'm just going to say, if you say marriage, just say your rosary beads, say your rosary prayers, eat your vitamins. It's going to be a long day when Duke comes in. That's just what it is.
Long day with Cooper Flag's rolling. Let's go to team number 2, and that is Alabama. Alabama goes from number 18 in the rankings all the way up to number 7. They have a dominant week. Last week, they go 2-0. They didn't really look like they had much challenges with DJ Childs coming in with that ankle injury. That was all the conversation around that squad during the preseason. I thought this team looked springy, specifically DJ Childs. I loved the two-man combination of Cutler and Childs. And then, we forgot Quincy Henderson is also a really dynamic playmaker with the ball, led them in scoring in their second win of the week. Your takeaway from Duke, again, up to number 7 from 16 in last week's rankings.
Alabama came in and they've shown that they are competing for the championship this year. They came in very serious. DJ Childs, we knew about. Levin Cutler, we knew about. We didn't expect, at least I didn't expect this season version of Cutler so far early in the college year. And then Quincy Henderson, a ball player, kind of like the forgotten stepson, came out in the second game and said, hey, don't forget, I ball out here too. So Alabama's been showing the full repertoire on both sides of the basketball, the offense and defensive side. They too are a team that's looking at number 7. I make an easy argument say they probably should be top 5.
I agree.
I know it's early. They can make an easy argument that they should be top 5. They look that good over the weekend.
Well, I think there's a couple pieces, right? If you look at the top 5, Miami, again, national champs a year ago, they looked good against Marquette. Duke, we just talked about. Tennessee looked awesome in their games. You can make the case that we should be talking about Tennessee right now. Spoiler, our third team is not Tennessee. UCLA looked really great, and then Kentucky looked really great. The only team that I would put Alabama ahead of right now is Houston, but we haven't seen Houston play yet. So until we get an idea of this Houston squad, it's kind of like, well, we thought they were number 3, 4, 5 to begin the season. We can't just suddenly drop them too far down. You can make the case you move them somewhere. They have to stop that fall at some point. But here's the thing with Alabama. We thought this was going to be DJ Childs running the show. Or I shouldn't say we. I think I thought it, and I think I probably wasn't alone, but let's not make everybody wrong. I thought DJ Childs was going to be the one running the show. Was excited to see what we got from Levin Cutler, but I wasn't too anticipatory that he was going to be awesome. And then that was kind of it. It's like, all right, yeah, you got Quincy Henderson, you got Rodrigo Falls. These are good SimWorld prep names, you know. They're good basketball players, not great. Quincy Henderson is second in the team in points at 15.5. He's third on the team in rebounds at 3.5. He leads the team in steals at 2.5. He has the most free throws, 6 made free throws. That leads the team. By the way, DJ Childs shooting 42.9% from the free throw line. Not great, Bob. And then lastly, PER, second on the team, 25.5. Right behind who else? Levin Cutler, 26.7. So through the first 2 games, we got an awesome performance from Quincy Henderson and 2 great performances from Levin Cutler that makes you realize, holy cow, this is, DJ Childs might still be the anchor of this drink, the potency of this mixed cocktail that we've put together. But the little garnishes are more than just garnishes with Quincy Henderson and Levin Cutler. That punch that they're each throwing into this drink is really delivering it through the first 2 games, Rick.
Yeah, I mean, the old fashioned is not an old fashioned unless you have an orange and some bitters. And that's what's been bringing to the table to Quincy Henderson and Levin Cutler. I don't know who's the orange. I don't know who's the bitters. The bitters. And for the love of God, please make sure only serve real cherries in your old fashioned and 1 single block of ice. And that's the Alabama. We're going to call it the Alabama old fashioned right now.
They're rolling. Who's not rolling? Well, they're rolling in one direction, but it's not going in the right one, is Oklahoma. 0-2 to start the season. They kicked off at number 10. They fall all the way out of the rankings through an 0-2 start. This did not look good. Suno Chapa, 31 minutes, 8 points per game, 26% from the floor. Abe Harper and Floyd Henderson are the second and third leading scorers behind Jace Maguez, who looked really good, 17 points per game through the first 2. Is it time to panic for this Oklahoma team, or was the matchups just not there for them?
I'm not saying it's panic time, but I am saying it's time for some coaching adjustments. I think that with Suno Chopper struggling, you guys brought him in to be the number 2/number 1 with Jace Maguez, and he's kind of struggling right now early on, and it's fine. Freshman year, it's a lot on the young man's shoulders. I think he's going to be just fine, but I think the coach need to help him to simplify the game for him, get him easy buckets early to get him going. We all know it as ball players or former ball players. When your shot's not falling after a while, sometimes that makes you not play as hard on the defensive side of the ball. So it has a domino effect. So you want to get him some easy looks early, get him going early, and if nothing else, it keeps him engaged defensively. I think Oklahoma's going to be fine. they obviously are not a top 10 team right now at this moment. So they dropped all the way down, and I'm cool with that. But I think Oklahoma's going to be fine once Suno Chopper and the rest of the guys settle in. But Jason McGuinness is ready. Jason McGuinness is ready. He's primed. He's ready. He's balling. He looks really, really good for Oklahoma.
So I'm not a big fan of preseason rankings, but I understand that they're necessary for us to kind of like create a litmus test of saying, all right, this is who we think. Because you can't just walk into week one and be like, nobody's ranked, and we're going to figure out the top 25 and everybody else after that. So Oklahoma sitting at number 10, obviously that was too high. But if you look at this team, their defense was fine. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. 72 against USC, 80 against Auburn. The challenge with this team was their offense, and to see production by Suno Chapa of 8 points over the last 2 games, you probably expected more. There's no question about that. The good news for this team is they're getting good production in other spots. The good news is that Jason McGuinness is doing what Jason McGuinness does. They've got other players that are stepping up. The bad news is, obviously, is that your prime number 1 recruit comes in, number 1 for them, comes in and just doesn't play well. I think that's probably more likely to get back to what we expect now. Is Suno Chapa going to be D'Angelo Jordan or Cooper Flagg level, 20 points per game, even DJ Childs level? Maybe not right away. But if he just adds 8 points per game, you're up to 16, you're up to 18 points, 8 to 10 points. It's a little bit back to where we expect him to be. I think this Oklahoma team starts winning basketball games. They lost by 5, they lost by 16. So right then and there, you're looking at a 1-1 record just by Suno Chapa being a little bit better than what he was. So it's not a great start for this Oklahoma team. I'm a little concerned that it wasn't as great of a start, but I'm also realizing that this is a difficult leap for a guy like Suno Chapa to make, and I hate to put all of it on him, but again, if he's that number 2 guy that you talked about, Rick, as soon as he starts meeting that expectation level that we have for him, then this team suddenly becomes exactly what we expected of him. It just wasn't the perfect start. If you throw, and I love when we overreact to the first couple weeks of anything, if you throw these 2 games into February, are we freaking out? Are we saying, 2 tough nights, Suno Chapa will back up? But because it's the first 2 games, it's all we have to go off of, and it's why we get these very vitriol kind of senses when we watch them.
Yeah, let me ask you, Marsh, is Oklahoma right now, in your opinion, we know they're not in the top 5. Are they 26, 27-ish, or are they more 32, 35-ish?
I think they're 26, 27-ish, right? If they come out, they've got games coming up versus Butler, at Tennessee, at Oklahoma, or at LSU, excuse me. Look, if they beat Butler, beat LSU, play Tennessee tight, LSU's had a really tough time on their defensive side of the ball through their opener. If they play that tight, why at 3-3 are they not the 25th best team in the country? If they beat Tennessee, I think they're right on the outsides.
I don't know. I don't know about beating Tennessee. I don't think they're there now.
I don't either.
I'm sorry, they're not there now. And I'll be honest with you, LSU is a trap game. The LSU game is going to be a real trap game for Oklahoma. I think we're going to really start to see right now in the first quarter of the season what type of team Oklahoma is going to be with the LSU game. So I'm excited to see that game once it comes around.
It's going to be a doozy. Oklahoma at Tennessee. That's October 14th. All right, we're going to our last little segment, and this will be a work in progress. But we are doing a little SimWorld U wrap-up. Difficult to do that on a Monday when we didn't have much going on over the past week. But we're going to recap some of the games from last week, so let's dive right in. We started off opening night, Kentucky against Wake Forest. Big night from Jamison Johnson, 29-21 from Glory Tate as well. They beat Wake Forest 89-88, needing a big second half comeback. That is where Kentucky's at their finest in the second half. Let's move to UCLA and Memphis, where the Memphis Tigers had no answer for 28, 8, and 11 from Jalen Snow. A 107-90 win for the UCLA Bruins to lead things off. Tennessee, we mentioned them. Did they look good? Double up Syracuse, 102-61. 25 from Vekic, 22 from Turner, and nice to meet you, TJ Rockwell with 21 points of his own. Wichita State, Florida State. This was a nice one offline, but we saw it anyway. Wichita State wins this one 71-70, despite big night from Garrett Hart for the Seminoles, 24-10 for the SimWorld Prep alum. We thought Missouri might be in trouble. They were not against UConn. They played the number 9 ranked currently team UConn tight, 89-87. Big night from Boo Boo Morgan, 29-11. Norman Nations, 26 points of his own. Marquette Miami, reigning champs, get rolling. 90-89 win in a tight one. They missed some free throws late, which would have put this thing out. 30 points from Alex Rodriguez, not enough. Illinois, Oregon at home can't make the rally all the way back. D'Angelo Jordan, 28 points to power the Fighting Illini to a 1-1 week. And then Rutgers and Mississippi State, upset of the season, of the week. Rutgers at number 4 can't get it to Terrell Pearson, last second jumper to win it for Mississippi State. Memphis, Florida. Memphis got back on the train after getting smoked by UCLA to return the favor against a struggling Florida team. 83-57, 26 points from Lacedarius Outlaw. That is our SimWorld U wrap-up. We are going to get plenty more of that as we move forward. Rick, I'm going to be out of the seat here for a second, so B-Run's going to be joining us. You'll be back in the seat on Friday.
I can't believe, Marsh, I can't believe you did this entire wrap-up and didn't mention Iowa being 2-0 right now.
Look, I'm reading the games that are in a highlight package.
I cannot believe you did this wrap-up and all the grief I've been giving Iowa and their fans and their constituents, and then you're not going to bring them up. Shout out to Iowa and Sherwood doing their thing. 2-0. The little guys don't get the love. I'm giving the love here on the show. March, continue.
Then let's wrap this up real quick. Iowa is behind Rutgers, who's 0-1 at 18, behind Gonzaga, behind New Mexico, neither of whom have played. Should Iowa be number 17?
I don't see why not. They're right now the Rodney Dangerfield of SimWorld U. They gets no respect.
It gets no respect. We'll see plenty more of Iowa. This is a great way to end this show. Let's see who they got next, just so folks know that we're not completely disregarding them. I had it. I got it back. All right. Alabama on the 8th. That's tomorrow. Not on TV. Arizona they don't play again until Arizona on the 25th of October, and then they get Kansas State and Washington to round out their month of October. Yes, smoked Florida, smoked LSU. No one's getting close to Iowa right now, number 19 in the country. All right, that's our show. B-Ron takes it over here, takes the baton from me starting tomorrow here on SimWorld today on SimWorld TV. Thanks for tuning in. The only place you can see the game, be the game.
This has been a presentation of SimWorld Sports.